Hey everyone, this is Jarek Ostrowski, product designer on the UX Foundations team. Most of you know that, but those who might be watching the video might not. And today I wanted to talk about some of the takeaways from the DQ, I'm not sure exactly how you pronounce it, the university accessibility course that we've learned so far. Just my overall takeaway, I'm not going to go into the minutia of the details. If you know me, I like to think big picture on these things. So I just wanted to talk about, what I've learned so far and how that sort of changed my mindset on the foundations team. So my biggest takeaway, if I could sum it up in one word, is empathy. And this is going to come up and I'm going to talk about empathy and relate it back to some of the things in this presentation. But overall, if we have empathy and we just have that mindset, we can really make a big impact and make our product and our experiences more accessible. And to me, empathy is about understanding that not everyone uses a mouse, not everyone sees what's on the screen, not everyone has the same cognitive abilities, not everyone can hear what's happening on the screen, not everyone can see the same colors, but everyone wants to contribute. And this relates, our mantra, our core at GitLab is that everyone can contribute. And this, really hits that home as we talk about accessibility. So how do we make it so everyone can contribute? Well, we can have empathy. It could be as simple as having empathy and keeping accessibility in mind and understanding, and make it part of our design decisions every day. Don't make it an afterthought or create accessibility rot, which is a term that I learned for the first couple modules in this course that I'll talk about with a visual. And it's about building an experience for everyone, truly everyone. We say everyone can contribute, but truly everyone who wants to contribute should be able to. So there's three big takeaways. The first was bad retrofitting. The second is stigmatizing designs. And the third is accessibility rot, which I mentioned. So for bad retrofitting, and I didn't use the direct images due to copyright in the course, but there was an example on Twitter. Thank you, Tori, for pointing this one out. That you see this wheelchair ramp up to the sidewalk. They built it around a tree. So that's just bad retrofitting. They put it in a place that they thought would meet the standard, but clearly this is not an easy path for somebody in a wheelchair to go up on the sidewalk. So if we have empathy and design with accessibility in mind from the beginning, we can thoughtfully avoid a badly retrofit experience. And I put a link in here that isn't clickable in the slides, but I did put it in the UX Showcase doc, that in our product is an example of bad retrofitting, where if you're exploring projects and you're only using a keyboard and you're tabbing into those filters, after you select a filter, the page actually reloads and resets the focus point back to the beginning of the navigation. So if somebody was just using a keyboard, they get to this filter, change the filter, then they have to go all the way back. So that's just not a good experience. Like, we would all agree that that's not a good experience. So there's an issue that is there in the doc if you want to take a look and contribute to that as well. Stigmatizing designs. This is, making people feel like they're separate or they have to take the back entrance. And this is actually a real product online, where a sign that says access around back. Now, they're giving access to people who are in wheelchairs, but it's stigmatizing because they have to go the back way or around some hidden corridor. So if people have to go around back to access the same experience as everyone else, it can be pretty stigmatizing. And if we think about designing an experience for everyone, no one will feel like they have to go around the back to get the same experience. And another example that I thought of that I thought was best practice, and I know, you know, there's varying thoughts out there, but to me, if you create a quote unquote accessible version of an application where somebody has to go deep into settings, where they turn on these settings, that can also be stigmatizing where it's not accessed out of the box. And accessibility rot, this is where is another one from Twitter where somebody posted an image of, we have the wheelchair ramp where they can access the sidewalk, but there's a giant ice machine to the entrance of the store. So how is somebody supposed to do that? It's accessibility rot. They did the thing in the beginning to make something accessible, but then it just kind of, it was other things were prioritized over it. And so, once you've designed something with everyone in mind, we can't fall into neglect and forget about why we had everyone in mind in the first place. And as we grow, we can't let accessibility rot take over. Designing, like I said, there's good intent, but it can't be a one-time thing, and it has to be ingrained in everything we do in order to avoid these situations. And it's important to have advocates and experts on the team around accessibility. And I'm really, honestly feel privileged and grateful to have the opportunity that the leadership team here is having us go through these things, because I'm certainly no expert. I always knew about accessibility, and I certainly don't know everything. But there's a lot of you who do know a lot more than I do. But I always come back to my original thought as I'm going through, even just starting the course. I've come to the conclusion that it's not about what you do or what you don't know. It just comes back to my biggest takeaway, which is empathy. And if we all have empathy, we can create an accessible experience where everyone can contribute, truly. And I'll reiterate this again. And empathy is about understanding that not everyone uses a mouse, not everyone sees what's on the screen, not everyone has the same cognitive abilities, not everyone can hear what's happening on the screen, not everyone can see the same colors, but everyone wants to contribute. So if we have this empathy and understanding of these things, we can look at a design and have that in mind as we make our design decisions. And so how do we make it so everyone can contribute? In our Foundations KR that I've linked here, and also in the UX Showcase doc, we added thoughts to the course, Jeremy, Tori, and myself, in the issues that we've completed so far and how we can use that knowledge to improve our product. So I invite you to check those out and add your thoughts as well and contribute. And that is it. Thank you.
Christy's typing, so I'm going to give her a sec to vocalize her thoughts before I stop recording.
Yeah, I'll start talking and stop typing. Maybe somebody can help me out. So this is excellent. I really enjoyed this, Jarek. I love how you tied this back to our company ethos of everyone can contribute. There's a ton of interest in this throughout the company. So I want to think about how we can start more broadly empowering more GitLab team members to help with accessibility, and different people can probably help in different ways. So I was at a recent group conversation, I can't remember which one, but accessibility was a really hot topic throughout. Developers are very interested in helping to improve accessibility. They just need our support in doing that. And then other members of the team have ideas about how we can improve our accessibility in our product. They may not be able to do the work themselves, but like I saw that you have this epic, they could absolutely contribute to the epic. So what I'm thinking about is how do we loop more people into this? I understand that y'all are learning more as you go. How can we start feeding this information to the wider team? So even sharing just this video a little more broadly, maybe get it into the developer channel development, I think is the Slack channel. I know we share these videos in the engineering week in review, but sometimes I think they kind of get looked past. And this might even be one to start sharing in something like what's happening at GitLab, since there is so much interest in it. So if it's not this one, then we can start doing it in future ones. But I thought this was actually a really good overview, and I learned a lot from it about accessibility rot and things like that. That was really cool.
Thank you.
I was about to type it. Anyway, I'll just say it out loud. Do we have an accessibility linter in like GitLab UI, like an ESLint plugin that can check for accessibility standards during a build time?
Jeremy, I almost wonder if you wanna, because you were chatting with the PM about this recently, right?
Yeah, we do have, like, in Storybook, there is an accessibility checker that will flag. So if you go into Storybook, there's a tab on the right that'll show those items. However, depending on what tool you're using, you could say on average, only about 20% of accessibility things will be caught from automated testing, and while 80%, approximately, give or take some, are going to be either manually validated or manually caught to begin with. So there are some of those things. And actually, in one of the issues on the test that we're going through that Jarek mentioned, I commented that we could continue to look into extra tools. There's one in particular that now, and I've gone through a beta of it a while ago, but it can do the manual or the automated testing, but then based on what it's finding, it can provide suggestions and walkthroughs on how to perform a manual. So it's almost like a wizard where you can say, okay, does this exist? Yes. Okay. If so, let's do these checks. Is this happening? Is this happening? So using some more rigor around that, I think, would help. But sorry for the long answer, but short answer is we do, but it only covers off on so many things. Long answer is I'd love to have more that also provides some of that walkthrough and coaching.
Thanks. I didn't realize that it would only cover like 20% and that a lot of this stuff has to be manually verified. So that's really helpful to know.
Yeah, it's kind of like, so the examples that Jarek shared, okay, you could say, oh, looking on paper, all right, this building has a curb cut, right? But unless you physically go there and try to use the curb cut and where it takes you, then it's a fail. But on paper, it's a pass, right? The building inspector, hey, they've got a curb cut. That's great. But unless you're actually using it and validating it, you're not going to understand the practicality of it. So it's kind of like that.
GitLab also has a new feature in our merge request widget, or I actually don't think it's very new. It's new to me. I just learned about it. So we're looking into what that is and how we can dog food it to see how we can improve it over time. Any other thoughts or questions for Jarek? Awesome. Thanks, Jarek. This was a great presentation. Really enjoyed it.